We're going to get rolling with Gary. Gary, I met a few weeks ago. I've actually known him for a couple of months, but he and I sat down and talked a few weeks ago. And we talked about something that might be beneficial to our group. Gary's got a wealth of knowledge from his past experience of running multi-million-dollar companies, of keeping those companies on track, of keeping their people organized and keeping things moving. So we came up with the idea of time management. I know Gary's done this talk before. So this morning, what I'd like to have us all do is I'll pass out some information here. We're going to welcome Gary to our group, and Gary is with the Growth Coach. And here we go. Thank you.
Okay, the Growth Coach is a business coaching and consulting company, and what I do is I help small businesses to gain success in their business. I teach business principles, and time management is one of those, but I teach leadership skills, people skills, operational efficiency, effectiveness, strategic thinking, and selling and marketing skills. And as Jeff mentioned, I came from a multi-million-dollar company. I spent my whole career in business management, C-level positions. Started out with a $5 million company, and in the 80s I did a startup before they were called startups. Now it's a word, startups. But I did a startup company and grew that to almost $1 million and sold that. And then my last career, I grew the company, helped grow the company I was with from $16 million to $40 million. But in June of 2012, I had a major milestone birthday. And in August of 12, I was coming back from another business trip, this time to Russia. I'd spent 8 days there, and it took me 29 hours to get home. And I was looking forward to not looking forward to my next trip was back to China. And on that flight home, which took me 29 hours, I decided that there were better things to do with my time than spend it on an airplane or in meeting rooms and hotel rooms in foreign countries. And I was tired of it, and I needed to make a change. And what I was really passionate about was helping and develop people and helping to develop them into leaders and managers. And I'm a continuous, lifelong learner, so I believe in continuous improvement, continually learning and educating and helping other people to grow their businesses. So that's what I do now. I have the opportunity to help other people, those people happen to be business owners, to gain greater success in their business, to maximize their time and their energy, to upgrade their skill set and develop a mindset of success. So you're getting a handout that's being passed around, and today, since I'm limited on time, this was an hour and 10-minute talk that I gave recently. And so Jeff said I had 20 minutes. I was like, oh my goodness. How am I going to cover this in 20 minutes? It's next to impossible. But I guess I have to be efficient with my time, my use of time, right? And so that's what we're going to talk about today. See, time management is absolutely vital because it's the only resource that is really limited. We have unlimited resources for other things, but time we do not. We can train to acquire new skills, we can make more money, and we can gain more experience. But when that clock strikes 12, that's it. We're out of time. There is no more time, and we can't make any more time. We have to wait until the next day. So it's a scarce resource. And unless it's managed properly, we're going to run out of time before we know it. And then we're going to say, gosh darn, I had so much to do and I didn't get it done today. Just disconnect it. So it's a precious asset. It's an asset that we can use to solve problems, to plan in our business, to create sales plans, marketing plans, time for our family and our friends. And we have all these things that are happening around us, and we have a limited amount of time. So there's a lot of misuse of time. We can skip it if it's not working. Yeah. Other people misuse our time all the time. We even misuse our time, don't we? But it's the key to our productivity. It's the key to our peak productivity, is the use of our time. And so we have to learn to manage it. The reason why you can't find a wall clock in a casino, does anybody know why you can't find a wall clock in a casino? They don't want you to know what time it is. The people that are stealing your money don't want you to know that time is passing. So they want you to stay there. They want you to spend more money. But if we want greater success in our business, we need to get control over our time. We need to get control over that limited amount of resource that we have to use every day. The time is the only thing we have control over. So what are some of the signs of the inefficient use of time? The inability to meet deadlines. Working too many hours. How many of us do that? How many of us work too many hours? Most small businesses do work too many hours. I used to work 50 hours a week on average, sometimes 60 hours a week. And I was working for somebody else. But when you own your own business, you probably work 70 or 80 hours, don't you? So we lose sight of our objectives when we're not efficient with our time. We don't have sufficient time with our family and our friends. We have a messy desk usually. How many have a messy desk in here? We have the inability to delegate. We have too much to do and too little time to get it done. There's too much stress in our lives. Too many worries, feeling overwhelmed. We're not having fun and we tend to get burnt out. And we get to the end of the day and we're just exhausted. We're physically exhausted because we had too much to do and not enough time to do it. And we end up with a lot of clutter in our lives. A lot of stuff that doesn't add any real value to our business or our personal life. That's what I consider clutter. So we get stuck when we go through this and we don't use our time efficiently. We get stuck doing low priority, low value activities. Things that really don't add to our business, don't add to our personal life. And it's difficult for us as business owners to be objective. It's difficult for us to step back and really see what's going on in our business, in our personal life. It's tough for us to take that 30,000-foot view. So it's hard for us to face the reality because we're not even looking at it. And I always like to use the analogy that we don't really see reality as it is. We see it as we are. And what does that mean? We see reality through our own set of glasses, our own lenses. Those lenses are made up of our past experiences. So I don't really see reality as it is. I see it as I am. Because when I walk into a room, Mark and Darren and I could walk into a room and we could see this group here, and we might describe it in 3 different ways. And the reason why we describe it in 3 different ways is because we're judging it. We're making an instant decision in a blink of an eye on what's going on in that room based on our past experiences. So we're prejudging what's happening. And the important thing to remember that is that when we walk into somewhere, we see a certain situation, we're seeing it through our own set of lenses. It may not be reality. It may be just because we're seeing it through our past lenses. And Malcolm Gladwell wrote a really good book called Blink. And the title means what it is. In a blink of an eye, we make a determination as to what's happening around us. And Peter Senge in his book Fifth Discipline talks about it as mental models. Stephen Covey talks about it. All of those individuals talk about how we walk in and we make a decision. So we as business owners, we have trouble facing reality, especially when we're surrounded by clutter, surrounded by too much to do and too little time to do it. So our time gets consumed with non-essential stuff. So we end up, oh, I got to take care of this, I got to take care of this, take care of this. I have a client that I'm working with that's the CEO of a multi-million-dollar company. And he wanted to talk about time management. So we went into his office. And in his office was a stack of mail from 2 days. And in that stack of mail was junk mail, offers for Visa cards and MasterCard cards. And I said to him, I said, why are you going through your mail? You're the CEO of the company. How come someone else isn't pulling out all the junk mail? How come someone else isn't going through these things that aren't directly addressed to you that you need to deal with? So you're spending all this time going through stuff that you don't need to be doing. It's low value, low priority stuff. So we get busy as business owners being busy. And we lose focus on what's really important. You know, the time management is taken on, the history of time management is interesting because originally we started using Post-it notes for time management. How many of us have used Post-it notes to manage our time? I have. Thank God the guy at 3M developed the Post-it note, huh? Well, then it evolved to planners and calendars. That was the next evolution of time management. Well, then the third generation of time management is organizing around your values. What do you really value? What's really important to you as a business owner and as a father or a husband or a wife? What's really important? What are my values? And I want to organize around my values. Oftentimes I do mentoring for Micro Mentor. It's with Mercy Corps. It's a volunteer thing that I do where I mentor new business owners. And I'm also an advisor for Albino Opportunities, which is a nonprofit that focuses on minority-owned business owners. So oftentimes I get new business owners that are starting a new business. And the first thing I tell them is, what do you want for you personally? What do you want your life to look like? The first thing you need to do is figure out what you want your life to look like. And then organize your business around that to support that. Because if you don't organize and figure out what you want from your life, and you start your business will consume your life. And someday you're going to step back and say, what happened? All these years passed by, my kids grew up. And it just passed by because I didn't figure out what I wanted my life to look like. And then organize my business to support that. So as a result of all this stuff that's around us, our lives get full of clutter. Now if you open your workbook there, your little worksheet, there's a sheet called clutter. Now this is for your use. This is a homework assignment. It's for you to go home and write down the clutter that's in your life, the non-essential stuff. Okay? That's the things that are distracting you from focusing on what's most important to you. Focusing on your values. And then at the bottom, what would you do if you had more free time in your life? Because everybody wants more free time, don't we? Everybody wants to take more vacations. Everybody wants to have more time with their kids. And as Stephen Covey says, nobody ever looks back on their life and says, I wish I'd spent more time in the office. We always wish we had spent more time with our family and our friends. Because in the end, that's really what's most important, is our family and friends. So I want you to take this sheet as a homework assignment and look at what clutter you have in your life. Figure out what that is, and then figure out what you could do with more time if you eliminated the clutter. Now, how many of you heard of Parkinson's Law? He wrote a lot of laws. One of my favorites is that your level of expense will rise to your level of income no matter what your income. And you financial planners know that, don't you? Because you see it every day. Your level of expense will rise to your level of income no matter what your income level. But another one he said was he wrote a humorous essay for The Economist magazine in 1955. And because he had experienced time in the British Civil Service. And so what he said was, work expands so as to fill the time available for its completion. Work expands so as to fill the time available for its completion. Now, any of you who have ever been to meetings understand this principle. If you have a whole bunch of things to do, and you have an hour to do it, you get all those things done in the hour. But if there is no time limit on that meeting will run an hour and a half, 2 hours, 2.5 hours, and you'll get the same amount of stuff done. So you can either do it in an hour, or you can do it in whatever time is available to get it done, because work expands to fill the time available for it. So what are some qualities of good time managers? We talked a little bit about inefficient use of time. Good time managers have clarity of thinking. They're able to think clearly because they're not being consumed by clutter. They're not being consumed by all these things that they have to do. They're decisive. Usually they have single-mindedness. They have a good memory. How many of us have good memories? They have determination. They have a methodical approach to things. And this is really important. And I'm not picking you up. They're punctual. You have a lot of, if you have kids, it's impossible to get anywhere on time. Because I had 3 sons growing up. They're all grown now, but it's impossible to get anywhere on time. So, but they're punctual, they're calm. They're objective. They're rational. they have more free time. They have more personal time. They have more freedom. They have peace of mind. They have balance in their lives. Time to reflect, plan, and set goals. Wouldn't not all of us want to have those? We just have to be better time managers, right? So what's hurting our performance? What's hurting our performance on the use of time? That limited resource, that precious resource that we have, that we only have so much of. And it's going to go away, and the next day, we have to start over again. A lot of it's multitasking, it's email, it's text messages, it's phone calls, it's electronic devices have created a lot of stuff for us to do and manage and take care of. And those little distractions and interruptions that cost us seconds, that then equal minutes, that then equal hours, that end up using up days, those suck away from our use of time. Now, I don't have time to go into it, but one thing I'd love to talk about is time vampires. Time vampires are vicious. They just suck the lifeblood out of you. They make you white, wilted, and inefficient. And meaning vampires are one of the worst. And my favorite time vampire is, you got a minute? Those vampires kind of wait outside your office. They wait down by the lunchroom with, do you have a minute? I just need a minute of your time. But we don't have time to talk about that. But we have to ask ourselves, what's an hour of our time worth? And on your worksheet, I would suggest that you write down what an hour of your time is worth. Because if you don't know what an hour of your time is worth, nobody else does either. And they're going to be wanting to use your time. They're going to want to distract you from what's important because they don't have any respect of the use of your time. And you don't know what an hour of your time is worth. I run into lots of business owners, and one of my favorite things to ask them is, what is an hour of your time worth? And I'm always surprised because most of them say, like an attorney, and I don't know what you make, but they say $200, $250 an hour, and I'm thinking, wow, that's awesome. You make $250 an hour. Why are you doing $12 an hour work then? Why are you? I ran into a lady, and she was had a wedding business, and she told me she made $225 an hour. I said, well, why are you doing $15 an hour bookkeeping work then? Well, maybe I really don't make that much. But if we know what an hour of our time is worth, then we should figure it out. And I have a good friend who's created an app that says that he wants to make this much money in a year. And this is how many hours are available in the year. And this is how much he should be making an hour. And what did he do that day that generated that revenue? And what did he not do that day that prevented him from generating that revenue? So he can create focus. So if we're worth $200 an hour or $225, or say you're even worth $100 an hour, why are we doing $10 an hour work? Because we get distracted. And we say, oh, I can fix my computer, I can do that. Probably costs more than $10 an hour to fix your computer these days, but we get distracted, so I can fix that. So then we spend the whole day trying to fix our computers. Or we have a leaky faucet and we spend half a day trying to fix the leaky faucet because we got to go to Home Depot 2 times to get the parts, and we didn't get the part the right. So we spend our time doing less than that. It's the old 80-20 rule. And we all have heard the 80-20 rule. Some, in fact, they even mentioned it today. It applied to sales originally, that 80% of your revenue in sales came from 20% of your customers. And I used to calculate this in my corporate job. I used to keep track of it every year. What percentage of our business was generating 80% of our revenue? But it applies to everything in life. That 80-20 rule applies to everything in business. It particularly applies to time management. That 20% of your activities are going to generate 80% of the return of your investment of time. So what are the 20% of those activities? In your workbook as well, some more homework for you. It's called the Strategic Focus Superior Results, the Trivial Mini. On the left side of that sheet, you should take time, because this is important. This is a really important activity. Take time to write down the clutter, the stuff, the low-value activities that you're currently doing. And then on the right side, your commitment to not stop doing those things. So what are the things that you're doing that don't add value to your business and don't add value to your personal life? Then the most important part is the bottom section where it says the vital few. And why is it the vital few? It's the 20%, right, that's going to generate the 80% return of your investment of time, talent, energy, money. So on the left side, what are the highest and best use of your time? What are your talents? Write those things down. And then on the right side, your commitment or the strategy to maximize those things. Because you see that it's only 5 items on that bottom sheet. There's only 5. There's a lot up here. This is the 5 we need to focus on. That 20%, that's that return. Bring that return on the investment of our use of time, talent, and energy. So what do we have to do in order to get control over our time? We have to slow down. We have to stop and step back from what we're doing. I tell my clients 3 things that I'd like you to do. I want you to think long term. Okay, what's your plan? Where do you want to go? Because if you're here and you want to get there, you got to have a plan. You just can't haphazardly go there. If you do, it's going to go like this instead of like this. So where do you want to go? Think long term. The second thing is see the bigger picture. In other words, step back from what you're doing and see the bigger picture. Take the 30,000-foot view. And then the third and most important thing is to be proactive. Do something about it. You want to go there. You want to see the bigger picture, but then you got to do something about it. So you got to have clear focus. It's like the guy saw on the log. He saw on the log, saw on the log. Somebody says, well, how come you don't sharpen the saw? I don't have time. I got to get this log saw. You know, if you don't take time to sharpen the saw, it takes longer to do things. If you don't, how many are too busy driving to take time to stop and get gas? You got to slow down. You got to get focused. You got to get clear focus. So we need to know where we want to go. We have to be persistent from day to day, and I'm going to speed it up because I've got the hand sign from Jeff. We have to set priorities. What do you want to do? Set those priorities around your values. Be discriminating because we all have a lot of priorities. Be clear. What is it you want to accomplish? Don't major in minor things. Okay? Don't major in minor things. Stop wasting time and energy on low-value activities. Remove the clutter from your life. Concentrate. Focus. Think about it. Personal mastery is the discipline of continually clarifying, deepening, and our personal vision. And then focusing our energies on developing and getting there. So, in your workbook, you have Covey's 4 quadrants. Look at 1, 3, and 4. 1, 3, and 4 is not where we should be. We should be focusing on quadrant 2. Relationship building, understanding our values, goal setting. Those activities that are going to generate the return of your investment of time and energy. So we need to set goals, and we've all heard of SMART goals, right? So when you set a goal, make it a SMART goal. Specific, measurable, attainable, realistic, timely. Brian Tracy once said, in a talk that I heard him say, if you take piece of paper and write 10 goals that you want to accomplish in the next year. 10 goals. Write them down. Fold that piece of paper over. Date it. Put it in the top drawer of your desk. Don't look at it for a year. The very fact that you wrote it down in a year, when you open that, 70–80% will have been accomplished of those goals. Why? Because our subconscious mind went to work helping us accomplish because we wrote them down. So prioritize. What is it you want to accomplish? Identify what you value. Use your clutter sheet. Remove the clutter. Use a to-do list. All good time managers use to-do lists. Consider your biological clock. Are you a morning person? Are you an afternoon person? Are you a night person? Focus your energies and your most important activities in that time period that you're most productive. Do the right things. Be effective. And then be efficient at being effective. If you're not effective, if you're doing the wrong things but you're really efficient, kind of going down the wrong path. So effectiveness is more important than efficiency. So be effective. Conquer procrastination, and then be flexible, because there are going to be interruptions. There are no secret magic pills. There's not a red pill if you take this, you're going to be your efficient time manager. There's not a blue pill if you take this, you're going to be really effective. Just like there's no magic pill, there's no magic formula. You have to figure out what's best for you and do that. But you got to concentrate. What are the 20% of my activities that I can do today that's going to have the highest and best use of my time, that's going to get the greatest return of value by use of time?
Very good. Thank you, Gary.